You guys are back in the old school. Hey guys, I'm the Retro Reject, and welcome to the month of monsters. And I know what you're probably thinking, I should have started this at the beginning of March, because since March starts with an M. But honestly, if I'm going to tell you, this whole thing is probably going to go over a month, so I'm just trying to get a head start and start at near the end of February. So it works out in the end. So if you didn't know, for this whole period of time, I'm going to be making a set streak of videos of just Godzilla-related content, and it will be about 4 or 5 videos. And to start off our month of monsters, I'm going to be playing a little game that a lot of other Godzilla YouTubers are playing right now. Tag on it! Now, unlike the normal game of tag, what I have to do is answer a series of 5 Godzilla/Kaiju related questions that were passed on down from another fellow Godzilla or Kaiju YouTuber, in which in this case I was tagged by the YouTuber named JasonZilla500. And once I answer those 5 questions in my own honest opinion, I have to pass on down those questions to a couple of other fellow Godzilla or Kaiju YouTubers, in which then they would have to answer those questions, and then just so the streak can continue on. Now, with all the rules out of the way, let's get on into the questions! Alright, question 1. What is a Godzilla movie you revisit? Okay, now, if you have seen my channel, it's pretty obvious that the Godzilla movie I revisit the most is Terror of Mechagodzilla. But just to do something a little bit different, I am going to list just a couple of other ones I do revisit a lot. The second Godzilla movie I seem to revisit a lot is Shin Godzilla, aka Godzilla Resurgence. Now, the reason why I do rewatch it a lot is just to see if my feelings for the movie have changed. But roughly, they've remained the same, and I consider it a pretty underrated but a very good Godzilla movie. And I know a lot of American Godzilla fans have pretty mixed feelings about it, but I consider it to be great, because the atomic breath sequence within the movie is pretty awesome, and when I saw it in theaters, my jaw just dropped open. I was agaze of just how amazing that sequence was. And I thought the ending of how they defeated Godzilla within that movie was pretty creative. Now, yes, it is pretty slow, and it is a lot more human-driven, and there are a little bit of ridiculous moments within it, but I do think it is a great Godzilla movie. But another reason why I think this movie doesn't go well with American fans is because I think you had to understand what was going on in Japan at the time, because there was a nuclear power plant disaster which inspired this movie to be created. Where kind of like how the atomic bombs dropping and the Lucky Dragon 9 incident inspired the original Gojira to be created. And that's another thing why I do think this is a good movie, because it is a reboot of the franchise, and I know a lot of fans don't like that idea, because what Touhou usually did was that when making a new era of Godzilla movies, they would ignore any other movie that came before it and just acknowledge the original Gojira still. But no, Shin Godzilla gets rid of the whole timeline and starts anew. Which it was a pretty risky choice, but I think it did pay off in the end. Question 2. What is your favorite non-Touhou kaiju movie? I would probably have to say Pacific Rim, because I just loved such the concept of that movie, because it's almost a combination of Ultraman and the anime Gundam robots, because they have to fight these other basically kaiju, and I think that was the movie that really brought the term kaiju to American audiences, so I think that's a pretty good plus. And I love the whole concept of having 2 people having to control these robots, because the strain would be too much on one person. A lot of the characters are pretty interesting, and I do love the ending of the movie of them having to go basically down to the depths of the sea, having to fight off these really powerful kaiju, and just so they can close up the thing that's opening, allowing kaiju to enter our world. Question 3. What is your favorite non-Japanese kaiju? I think this one is pretty obvious if you have seen my top 10 favorite kaiju of all time, and once again, it's the Radosaurus from The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Just because I loved any kind of stop-motion animation monster, or any kind of little creature. Just the Rhedosaurus has so much personality even while he's destroying the city and just being a wild animal destroying anything in his path. And I said it in the top 10 list, but he has one of the most bone-chilling roars I've heard from any kaiju. And even though his backstory is pretty cliche and once again very similar to Godzilla, it doesn't downplay him as just such a legendary kaiju. And another one is, I really don't know if it counts, and I may be stretching it a little bit, but the Psycho Rangers from Power Rangers in Space. And because technically the footage they use in Power Rangers comes from a series in Japan called Super Sentai, and in this case it's specifically the Mega Rangers. And the Psycho Rangers were actually called But I think the Psycho Rangers are just such amazing and badass characters, wanting to destroy their Ranger counterparts and just how strong they are and all the powers they have. And I know you're going to probably say they're not technically kaiju, but if you have seen any Power Rangers episode, and you probably already know where I'm going with this, but once their Ranger forms are destroyed, they turn into these gigantic monster-like kaiju things, and each Psycho Ranger has a specific monster design with specific powers. Like Psycho Red specializes in using fire-based attacks, Psycho Blue specializes in using ice-based attacks, Psycho Black specializes in using rock-type attacks, and then Psycho Yellow specializes in using like lightning-based attacks, and then Psycho Pink specializes in tentacles. Question 4, Godzilla singular point, are you excited? Okay, this one for me is a yes, which is kind of shocking. Even though it is an anime type thing, I did sit through the Ultraman anime, and which I did pretty enjoy, so I'm hoping this one is going to be a little bit better, because I did also have to sit through the anime Godzilla movie trilogy, and those were just flat out terrible. So I'm hoping this one is going to be a little bit better, because I do like the designs that they used in this movie. Some of them are a little bit iffy for me, specifically with the designs of some of the kaiju, like supposedly Titanosaurus and supposedly Gabra. And Godzilla's design sort of hits me the wrong way. And I also kind of don't understand, like, what is specifically going to be the human plot within this anime. But most of you probably already know, it was just because I sometimes have a problem with anime, and I have to be in a specific phase where I'm actually enjoying anime and I can actually tolerate it, but any other time I do not want to watch any kind of anime. So if by some miracle the anime comes out when I am in that phase of liking anime, I am going to watch it like right away. But if it comes out at any other time, I'm not going to watch it until that phase comes around. And finally, question 5, Godzilla vs. Kong, are you excited? Okay, this is going to be another yes and no. And that's because, it's not because I don't want to watch this movie. I think it is going to be good, but just there's going to be things that I'm worried about that are going to happen, and if they do happen, it's going to make me hate the movie. You see, the thing I'm fearing about Godzilla vs. Kong is that it's going to fall into the cliche of mainstream Hollywood, and it is happening within this American Godzilla franchise. Because you see, with the first Godzilla movie that came out in 2014, since this was the second edition of a Godzilla movie in America in years, since the first one was a horrible rendition, they wanted to take this movie as serious as possible and wanted people to actually like this movie. So they made some pretty interesting characters, had some interesting monster fights, but didn't roll on them too much. They didn't have any of the other fan favorite monsters in there, because if they did and the movie did horribly, it would take that monster's reputation down with it. And what the turnout was is that it was amazing. Everybody loved the movie. And so the next one comes along and they started adding more of the fan favorite monsters. They also did give us a lot more of the monster fights, but they still did tease with us in some moments. And they also started throwing in those stereotypical problems that are popping in all these Hollywood movies that are being made, like the whole thing about climate change. I can appreciate climate change in a Godzilla movie if it is done right, but in this one, it was not. So what you get is a decent Godzilla movie with some pretty good monster action and a few good character moments, but overall, the rest of the movie just seems lacking with something. And what I'm fearing with Godzilla vs. Kong is that they're going to go with the most cliche thing with any kind of versus movie, is that they promise that there's going to be some kind of battle to the death that is going to happen between Godzilla vs. Kong. But what I'm fearing is that there's going to be some other new monster that's going to be introduced, which then Godzilla and Kong have to work together to fight this thing. If these filmmakers are going to give us a versus movie, they better deliver on the goods, especially if it's a movie called Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, I mean, they could completely subvert my expectations and actually not do what I think they're going to do, and actually have either Godzilla win or Kong win. And by the way, I'm actually for Team Godzilla because, I mean, Kong is just a protector of one island, while Godzilla in this universe have to be the protector of the entire Earth. So I don't think they have the guts to actually kill him off. But sadly, I don't think that is going to be the case, because I believe they are going to do what I think they're going to do, which is add some other monster near the end of the movie to fight Godzilla and Kong, in which they have to work together to destroy it. Or in which that is going to instantly make the movie a big disappointment for me. Just the only question is, what monster are they going to fight? In fact, I came up with 3 possibilities. One, it could be a Mecha King Ghidorah, because at the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters, it was revealed that the main bad guy in this movie got a hold of that King Ghidorah head. Right? And then secondly, it could be Destroya, because once again, in Godzilla King of the Monsters, they shoot an oxygen destroyer to try to kill Godzilla and King Ghidorah. And if any of you don't already know, the oxygen destroyer is the reason that Destroya was created. And then the last one is Mechagodzilla, which I believe that is the most likely option, because in the trailer of Godzilla vs. Kong, it's revealed that Godzilla is destroying cities for no particular reason, and Godzilla destroying a bunch of cities, and we don't know why, even though it's clearly established that he was a good guy. That sounds very familiar to Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, where Mechagodzilla had to wear this fake Godzilla skin over himself, in which he was destroying cities to make people believe that he was the real Godzilla, and eventually he revealed himself as Mechagodzilla. Well, there we go. All the questions have been answered, and now I have to tag at least 4 people to answer these same questions that were given to me. So, I will tag GaryZilla2002, Titanosaurus the Epic, Ginga number 1, and you know what? For the last one, whoever wants to be tagged, comment down below, and whoever comments first, I'll just reply and say that you've been tagged. But that's all for this video, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, whatever the heck you want to do, and maybe hit that little bell icon to get notified when the old school is back in session. And I can't wait to see you guys next time for continuing this month of monsters, but the old school is out!